In ancient Athens, a city celebrated as the birthplace of democracy, philosophy, and art, there existed another world that thrived quietly in its shadows. Just a few streets away from marble temples and public debates, thousands of women lived lives defined not by citizenship or choice, but by ownership. In the busy quarters near the marketplace and harbor, brothels operated openly and legally, woven into the economic fabric of the city. A night with a woman could cost no more than a couple of barley flatbreads or less than a jug of cheap wine. These women were known as pornai, a term that stripped them of identity and reduced them to commodities, spoken of casually in court speeches and public records as if they were tools or livestock. Most of these women were enslaved. Many were captured in wars, sold by desperate families, or trafficked from distant regions. Athenian law placed no minimum age on entry into prostitution, and historical evidence suggests that girls barely into adolescence were forced into these brothels. Their lives were not their own from the moment they arrived. Each woman was marked permanently, sometimes by branding, a visible reminder that she belonged to someone else. Escape was not viewed as a cry for freedom but as theft of property, punishable by law. Inside these establishments, privacy did not exist. Women worked in shared spaces divided by thin cloth or wooden screens, their exhaustion and pain part of the background noise of daily business. Brothel owners grew wealthy, while the city itself benefited through taxation. The suffering of enslaved women helped fund public buildings, festivals, and civic life. Athens prospered while these women endured lives of relentless labor and control. Refusal was not an option. Disobedience brought punishment, enforced through deprivation, confinement, or physical discipline. Over time, many women learned to suppress emotion, because showing distress only invited harsher treatment. Their survival depended on obedience, silence, and endurance. Injuries were common, medical care rare. Owners calculated that replacing a woman was cheaper than healing her. Those who became ill or weak were not removed from service. They were forced to continue working until they physically collapsed. The cruelty extended beyond daily exploitation. During certain religious festivals, especially those associated with wine and revelry, prostitutes were treated as offerings, handed over to groups of men under the pretense of ritual celebration. Ancient sources describe these events without shame, as if suffering could be sanctified when wrapped in religion. Some women did not survive these festivals. Deaths were attributed to illness or misfortune, and their bodies were discarded beyond the city walls without ceremony. Pregnancy was viewed as damage to property rather than a natural human condition. Women were punished for becoming pregnant, forced into dangerous methods meant to prevent birth. Ancient medical texts describe practices that were brutal and often fatal. Children born in brothels rarely survived. Archaeological evidence shows infant remains discarded with household refuse, a silent testament to lives deemed worthless from the moment of birth. When a woman grew older or lost her appeal, her value vanished. Whether she had lived in the most crowded brothel or briefly risen to favored status under a wealthy patron, the end was usually the same. She was abandoned, discarded outside the city, denied burial rites or remembrance. Even those who gained freedom found themselves permanently excluded from respectable society, living as ghosts among the living, marked forever by their past. Art and entertainment reflected this cruelty. Comic plays mocked prostitutes as deserving of abuse. Painted pottery used in respectable homes depicted scenes of humiliation and domination. Violence against women became normalized, aestheticized, and absorbed into daily life. The same culture that admired harmony and proportion in sculpture turned away from the broken bodies that supported its prosperity. Court records show that enslaved women had no legal voice. Their testimony held no weight unless extracted under torture. Justice existed only for the free. Democracy flourished while half the population, women, and especially enslaved women, remained excluded from it entirely. Philosophers debated virtue in public squares while human beings were bought and sold nearby. The grandeur of Athens was not built solely on ideas and marble. It was sustained by labor taken without consent, by suffering that history often prefers to overlook. Modern portrayals of ancient Greece frequently celebrate its achievements while sanitizing its cruelties. The lives of these women are rarely mentioned, their stories pushed aside because they complicate the narrative of classical greatness. Yet their absence speaks volumes. Archaeological remains, fragmented graffiti, discarded bones, and broken pottery all tell the same story. These women lived, endured, and died within a system that profited from their erasure. They were denied names, graves, and memory, but they were real. Their pain was real. Their lives mattered. Remembering them does not diminish history, completes it. The legacy of Athens is not only its philosophers and temples, but also the unseen lives that paid the price for its glory. To acknowledge this is not to condemn the past, but to understand it fully. And in doing so, we give voice, however late, to those who were never meant to be heard. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story made you reflect, consider supporting the sharing of forgotten histories. Every voice remembered brings us closer to an honest understanding of the past.